venturing off into a new genre can not only be quite difficult, but it can be outright exhausting. It can be boring at times when you're trying to break off into something that you've never read before, that you're not truly really interested in. So I have some book recs that will help ease that pain that you may be feeling trying to get into a new genre. Let's start with romance, because I feel this genre gets so much bad rep and it gets so much hate and scrutiny when other genres do not face the same thing. I understand that sometimes it's too much smut in a book. Sometimes it's too dark. It's no longer taboo. It's outright black. It's pitch black, and not everyone wants to read that. I don't want to say no one, but not everyone wants to read that, and I can understand why some people get a bad taste in their mouth from that. But 7 Days in June by Tia Williams is everything but that. This is such an extravagant and well thought out read. It's not too long to where you're going to be feeling like the story is dragging, but it's also not short where you feel like it's rushed. And not only does this just touch on romance aspects of a relationship, it also talks about the peaks and the valleys, the problems that you're going to face in a relationship. Problems not just from within, but from outside of the relationship, from parents, from friends, from siblings, whatever. This book does that, and it did a great job at doing it. Next, I want to touch on classics, because a lot of classic readers have this sense of superiority over people that don't read classics, and people that don't particularly enjoy classics can sometimes feel inadequate because they're not reading literature that's going to blow your mind. Even though that romance book that I just showed you, that thriller, whatever, can provide you the same thing. But I want to speak on classics. This is Wicked by Gregory Maguire, and although it has a really different writing style, there's a lot to take from this book. It is a part of the series, but you don't have to read the entire series. So not only is this entertaining, it's informative. It gives you insight in a different perspective on other aspects of life, on other people's experiences in life, whether that be by your gender, by your race, by your sexuality. This book touches on it, and I loved it. Next up, historical fiction, my dearest and favorite genre in the whole wide world. This is The Rose Code by Kate Quinn, and it's centered around 3 women that are following World War II and their different perspectives on how they're going through it, because they all have a different role, but they're working alongside each other for the majority of the novel. But it's really good. It's informative. Again, historical fiction is such an informative genre, and it doesn't get enough praise, but I will always be there to praise it. Fantasy, this is Blood Over Bright Haven by M.L. Wang, and not only is it a standalone, it's an astonishing standalone. For fantasy, it's very hard to craft a really good standalone fantasy novel, because world building, you have to get to introduce the characters, because you're going to have a lot of characters in fantasy, but you have to introduce them a certain way to not confuse the reader, but to also not baby the reader. And I feel M.L. Wang did a wonderful job. This was an astonishing read. It's one of the very few fantasy novels that made me shed a tear. I highly recommend this one if you're looking to break into fantasy. Another genre that gets a really bad rep, and I feel like people need to break off into it and stop spewing misinformation, is urban fiction. This is Before We Were Wicked by Eric Jerome Dickey. It was one of the first romance or urban fictions I've ever read when I was way too young to be reading urban fiction, but it's really, really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed the entire story. It, again, talks about the peaks and valleys in relationships, the mistakes, the missteps, all the things that you shouldn't do but are going to end up happening in life. Memoirs are another genre that get a bad rep because someone's life can be outright boring. Let's just be real. Not everyone lives an interesting life and should be writing memoirs, but Jeanette McCurdy did such an amazing job crafting this book. The audiobook, you can read this yourself if that's your groove, but the audiobook is such a different experience. It's extravagant. I'm going to say this is one of the best memoirs I've ever read. Young adult. People always say young adult, it's childish, the writing is sloppy, it's too easy to read, those things. And that's all not true. This was one of the best YA novels I've ever read. First of all, this is just a good book overall. This is Ace of Spades by, I'm not even gonna say her name because I always get it wrong, but it's so good. The kids in this book had me ready to fight. And I don't fight kids, but I was ready to fight. Science fiction is such a small genre, like popularity wise, and a lot of people like to lope it in with fantasy, but they're not completely the same. They are different. And this is Kindred by Octavia Butler, one of my favorite science fiction authors ever. And this is just like I think this is my favorite book by Octavia Butler. Let me just be real. I'm just gonna get that out the way. I think this is my favorite book. And not only does this have science fiction written all over it, it also has historical fiction in it. And I love when you can bring history to fantasy to science fiction. You can bring genres together because that just makes such an elaborate and amazing read. It keeps the reader in tune, it keeps you hooked, and it wants you to read more. It makes you want to read more. Thrillers don't really get a bad rep, but a lot of people don't care for thrillers, but they want to get into it because they like that spookiness. You know, it's spooky month right now. So this is Secret Santa, and it is based in Christmas, but it's a thriller novel. Imagine being a new hire and the current employees are just giving you hell for whatever reason, but there's like a mysterious figure looking out for you and fucking the employees up. That's basically what this book is. I'm not going to spoil it, but I think that you will enjoy this if this is your first time getting into thrillers. And I saved this one for last because no one likes self-help, let's be real. But this is one of the best self-help books I've ever read. Again, informative, and I know you're thinking, this is for dispatchers, this is for law enforcement. I'm a yapper, I ran out of time, but yes, this may be directed towards dispatchers, law enforcement, officers, correction officers, whatever you want to say, firefighters, all that. But as a citizen working in any entity, just not even working, you can be unemployed. This is such a vital read for you because you can feel burnt out at any point in life. You can be burnt out at Walmart, working at Walmart. You can be burnt out working at Buc-ee's. You can be burnt out working at Barnes & Nobles. You can be burnt out just unemployed because life is tough. Actually, it's shitty at the moment. Life is shitty. It's fucked up. And reads like this not only help you reflect on what's going on, and I know some people, they read to escape reality, but you can only run so far before shit catches up to you. So if you've been looking to break into self-help, you don't know where to start, some things just feels like the elitists are telling you what you're doing wrong, this book is not that. This is such a great tool to reflect on life, to reflect on what has happened, what may happen. It's just a good reflection tool overall. I highly recommend it. Every time someone asks what self-help should I read first, this is probably going to be it. All of these titles are amazing in the range. Chef's kiss. I know what I'm doing. You should listen to me. I will see you guys next time. Peace and happy reading.